Welcome back to your hour. Joining me now is Jamie Whitfield, my assistant, and also she's a sales associate here at KCTU. And she has talked to us quite a bit about Oxford House and about treatment for drug addiction. I think today we're going to dig a little deeper. I'd like to ask you, Jamie, what brought you to this point?
I believe that my drug addiction started well before I started using drugs. Actually, I think the birth of our disease, well, I'll speak for myself, it starts when you have that deep cellular level of not being good enough. And it could happen in childhood as a teenager, and without that, processing them feelings and that feeling of not being good enough, in the right appropriate manner, it creates an addict before you actually pick up and use a drug.
So, how did you wind up in treatment?
Well, I wound up in treatment just for 3 years, just filling that void with drugs, and not processing things, stuffing my problems. And like I said, it started way before I even picked up the drug. I believe mine started when I was growing up, and I was told I was different because I was mixed. And there, that just gave that layer of I'm different, I'm not good enough. And so all through my childhood, I was having to, I guess, seek permission to be happy, and always trying to fill them voids with what other people filled them with, I always looked for someone else to make me happy, and I couldn't make myself happy because I felt different, and I didn't measure up.
Yeah. We've had this discussion before. I've often been of the opinion that you can't make somebody else happy.
No, no.
It has to come from within.
Yes.
And if you don't have it, if you don't have happiness in your own psyche, you really don't have anything to share.
No, no, you don't. And I think that's where, if you can't find that happiness within and you're always seeking, others to fulfill that void, that's where I believe the birth of addiction is created. And so we seek that out through the drugs, and we find pleasure, and we desire that, and we crave that because that's what's filling our voids to make us feel happy. And without our own selves, being able to fulfill that for ourselves.
So, did you go to treatment of your own free will, or was it kind of forced on you?
Well, it was forced. I actually was arrested and put in jail, and that was basically treatment was my only option of being released for on pretrial. And so, but it's the best thing that ever happened to
Yeah,
me.
I
I couldn't, I don't even know where I'd be at right now if it wasn't for that fact of and how everything happened the way it did.
Yeah, I think that losing your freedom was probably a big slap in the face,
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes, it was.
It got your attention.
Yes, it did. And especially, having children. And even though I've said this before, my kids weren't enough for me to quit at first, they just weren't, it had to come from within. But it was very trying, and very difficult to see your children crying for you, and here you are, in jail, and you're forced to get clean. But like I said, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had lost my children at one point, custody and rights to them, and I've gained that back since I've been clean and sober. And I mean, just the relationships too, as well,
Yeah.
their trust and I've never lost their love, but just that trust, when
Sure.
I say, I'm on my way, they know I'm on my way, it's not 3 days later. So it's a wonderful thing.
Well, like you said before, when you were using, um, you weren't always the most responsible person in
Oh,
the
not
world.
at all, not at all. I placed I placed my addiction and my drugs, before anything. Like I said, I didn't have a life. You know what I mean? My life just revolved around getting more
Yeah.
and finding more
Your next
ways.
fix.
Yes, and finding more ways to get that, next one. So that's just not a way to live.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I'm in recovery and have found who I am.
Well, and as I have come to know you, bit by bit, I'm
Right.
getting to know you better. I find it hard to imagine that you were a user.
Yes.
Because you don't seem to be the type. You seem to have it all together. You seem to know what you want out of life and how to attain it, and you're going for it.
Yeah.
And so to me, that doesn't sound like somebody who has a drug addiction. But like you mentioned before, once you enter treatment, that's kind of a lifelong commitment.
Yes, just recovery itself is the lifelong commitment to yourself and your life. And yes, I am an addict, and I will forever be an addict. And I sometimes I can't even imagine how I used to be as well, because it's like you had said before, the imposter was present
Right.
in my, that was the imposter when I was active in my addiction. It wasn't me. This is me. I am a queen today, and I know who I am. And I'm Jamie.
You're Jamie, I'm not. Inside joke. So what's next for Jamie?
Well, I am just trying to pray and hope that one day here soon that I do get my own talk show, to reach out to recovering addicts or ones still suffering. I just want to reach out and just put that information out there, have, guest speakers on my show to share their strengths, hopes and experiences, so we can just reach out to the suffering addict or the, people that are in recovery that just needs to hear, what someone else has been through, so they don't feel alone, and to know that, by utilizing your support system and your resources and the NA, groups and the fellowship of NA, it works if you work it. I mean, all day long. I can't emphasize that enough, that if you use the tools that are given to you and your support in the NA fellowship and go to meetings, it works. It works if you work it.
Yeah. And I can see that it's helping you a lot.
Yes.
In fact, you sometimes attend several meetings a day.
Yes.
On Zoom.
Yes, just to maintain that recovery. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a long, it's a hard road, But if you just are serious about your recovery, you can do this, and the support of others help.
Sure. Well, Jamie, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Yes.
We'll be right back with Jeff Hutton.